Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Blu-ray review video. In this video, we are of course taking a look at the second wave of Viavision Australia's brand new imprint collection. That's right, we've got another 5 titles in this, so there's a lot to take a look at, so let's get into it. This is, of course, the August 2020 wave from Viavision's imprint label. There's another 5 titles entering the collection, which of course follow these 5 titles, which were released back in May, I think, a couple of months back. If you'd like to see my review of this wave, all of these titles, I have covered them in a separate video, and I'll leave that one linked at the end of this video here. So as I said, we've got another 5 titles entering the collection here, which take us from numbers 6 through 10 here. There is a 3rd wave already announced, and that takes us up to like number 24 or 25 or something. They've got a couple of big box sets and stuff releasing in this too, so they're really going hard at this range, which is awesome. I'm so excited about it. I really hope I'm going to be able to get my hands on those to deliver a review for you as well. So essentially, if you don't really know much about this, you haven't seen my previous review, you haven't seen them on the shelves, this is Viavision's brand new boutique label, which is essentially a special limited edition label of classic films. The latest film to be released in it is 1996, which is Night Falls on Manhattan. All the other ones are kind of hail from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, they are all limited to about 1,500 units a piece, depending on the movie. I think War of the Worlds had a few more, but the entire first wave completely sold out, except I think Waterloo. I think you can still get your hands on Waterloo. So I do suggest if you want to pick up any of the movies that you see in this collection, you go out and you get them now, because once you miss out, you miss out. Viavision have said that they will do like standard edition versions of some of the titles, but not all of them at a later date. And they won't be in these like slipcovers that these all come in right here. So you can order these all right now on Viavision's website, on the Imprint Films website. I think you can get a discount of like 13% off retail price if you order through them, or if you order the entire bundle, it's like a 25% off bundle deal thing. So it's a good way to go. Otherwise, JB Hi-Fi are always running good deals. So let's get into these. I'm basically going to go over all these films that have been added to the collection. I'm going to go over my thoughts on the film itself. I'm going to talk about the presentation of the transfer, and my thoughts on the special features and all that. But I have to say, this second wave absolutely knocks it out of the park on all fronts. I highly enjoyed every single one of these movies, and the transfers on all of them are absolutely impeccable. But as I said, we'll talk about them as we go along. So let's do this in order. We're going to take a look at number 6, which is When Worlds Collide, which is a great science fiction film from George Pell, released in 1951. So this one, if you have the War of the Worlds release from Imprint Films, they're a nice couple of titles to have together on the shelf if you're being picky about kind of which ones you end up picking up. Now, I really love these 1950s, 60s sci-fi adventure action films. They're really campy, they're really cheesy, and the special effects, the visual effects are just so outdated by today's standards, but that is the absolute charm of them. It's just so much fun to watch. But the great thing about them is they tell really great stories, they got really great heart, and the narratives are just really fantastic. And When Worlds Collide is just no exception. I really, really love this movie. I thought it was great. George Pell is such a fantastic and influential filmmaker, and really invented a lot of great visual effects techniques, and you see a lot of that at play here. So what's happening here in this movie is that there is a planet on a path to collide with the Earth, but that planet also has a moon. So what they want to do is they want to build a rocket ship to then fly a select number of people to the moon and create a new colony basically on this other planet before the two worlds collide. I just thought it was a lot of fun. So there's a lot of great special effects, visual effects at play there, with like the world kind of exploding and floods and earthquakes and fires and all that. It's so much fun, so much fun. And as you can see, this is a really nicely presented one. They all have different covers right there inside, and of course disc art and fantastic little images on the inside there too. I just think this is a really beautifully presented little set right there. The transfer on this film was really beautiful. It's a gorgeous, like, Technicolor film from the 1950s, and they're just always so vibrant and bursting with colors. And this one right here is just so beautiful to look at, and the cleanup job on this is absolutely stellar. I didn't really have any problems with the film print itself. Some of the other ones that we've seen from here, especially I Married a Monster from Outer Space, had some really bad print damage on the image. You could see the scratches, you could see the tears, the warps, and everything. This has been kept in absolutely pristine condition, and I think it just looks really, really beautiful. And this is one that I highly recommend from this wave right here. There is some nice special features on this one here as well. We've got an exclusive audio commentary by film critics Barry Forshaw and Kim Newman. They deliver some really great film commentaries. I haven't listened to this one just yet, but they do deliver some really great insights on these classic films. And there's also 90 minutes of George Pal extended interviews with Gene Roddenberry, Ray Bradbury, Ray Harryhausen, Roy Edward Disney, Wah Chang, Russ Tamblyn, and Duke Goldstone. And they're really interesting. I flicked through them and I had a look, especially the Roy Disney one I thought was really interesting because he talks about the influence that George Pal had on Walt Disney, and they're actually very good friends. And I didn't really know this. I hadn't heard this before. So some really good stuff in there. And then Ray Harryhausen talks about how they influenced each other and how they were both kind of working at the same time, developing techniques and stuff, and how, you know, they borrowed from each other and stuff. Really fantastic. So that alone, that 90 minutes worth of extended interviews is worth the price of admission on this set alone. So that's a really beautiful one there. That is highly recommended. Next up is No Way to Treat a Lady. This one stars Rod Steiger, Lee Remick, and George Segal, and I thought this was one absolute cracker of a film. This is one that was not really on my radar ever. It's not really anything that I ever really heard of. And maybe in passing, but not anything that I'd really thought, I really got to go see that movie. So I went into it without really any sort of preconceived notions about what it was going to be like. I knew in a range like this, it was probably going to be a pretty decent film. Man, this is awesome. It's this really great black comedy from 1968. Rod Steiger delivers this absolutely fantastic performance. He plays all these different characters. He's essentially a serial killer who goes around killing women, but he does it in all these different guises. He dresses up as an Irish priest. He dresses up as like a really flamboyant guy. He dresses up as like a Greek guy. It's just so weird. It's just such a really weird, quirky black comedy, but it's got some great drama. It's got some great noir elements as well. A great love story in there between Siegel and Lee Remick, and both of their performances are really good here. I loved this movie so much, like so much more than I really expected to, and the transfer on this is absolutely stunning as well. Really gorgeous colors and a really beautiful cleanup job right there as well. And I love the packaging here too, as always. There's a different cover on the cover there, and then you got some artwork on the disc. I love a bit of disc art. And then this is something I also love as well, when you get images inside the set there. I love that they use these white cases too. That's always like a hallmark of these prestigious boutique lines. This is light on special features. This only includes an audio commentary. Once again with, no, this one's actually with Kat Allinger. I didn't have a listen to this one either. I didn't find the time this month. But this, again, the film itself and the transfer of it, really beautiful. Great movie, enjoyable. I would recommend that one too. Next up is number 8, A Place in the Sun. This is an absolute classic movie that people have been waiting for on Blu-ray for a long time. It stars Elizabeth Taylor, Montgomery Clift, Shelley Winters. It's based on the book An American Tragedy by Theodore Dreiser, and it is directed by the absolute master of epic cinema, George Stevens. I thought this film was amazing. This is something that's been on my radar for a long time. I've wanted to see it for a long time because of its like classic legendary status. Oh man, it's a gorgeous film. Like a really, really beautiful, stunning film. This is instant. You know, sometimes you watch a movie and it hits you instantly, and you're watching it and you know, man, this is just something special. And this has instantly entered at least my top 10 favorite classic films of all time. And that's a very hard list to crack into because there's a lot of classic movies that I hold near and dear to my heart. The Wizard of Oz, Casablanca, It Happened One Night, movies like that. This really sits alongside those for me. This is just a fantastic movie. I could not recommend this highly enough. George Stevens is a fantastic director, and this is just, I think, one of his absolute masterpieces. And I thought Montgomery Clift was absolutely brilliant in this. I don't think I've ever really watched that many of his films. And I'm not a huge Elizabeth Taylor fan either, but I thought she was really fantastic in this too. I think this is one of her very earliest films. And they were just both fantastic in it. It's a movie that looks like it's just going to be like a sappy, sloppy, classic love story. but it takes this weird, darkly twisted turn. I don't want to spoil it, but it really has these great film noir elements as well, and I'm a sucker for film noir. And it just, these really dark noir elements of this film really won me over. And I just, oh man, I loved it. I loved it. And the transfer on this, black and white cinematography, you've got very like film noir kind of lighting, heavy shadows, and really kind of bright lights and stuff, low-key lighting. I just thought everything about this movie was beautiful. Out of all of these movies, this is the one that I think was my absolute favorite out of the lot, and I would highly recommend this one. It has a beautiful set right here. Both artworks are really gorgeous right there. You open that up, it's got a picture on the disc, of course. I love picture discs. And we pop that out, and we've got a really nice image on the inside right there. So essentially, he falls in love with two women, and he's got to try and figure out what he's going to do about the situation. And again, it takes this very darkly twisted turn. We've got a bunch of great special features on this one as well. We've got an audio commentary with George Stevens Jr., an associate producer, Ivan Moffat. And then there's also a featurette called George Stevens and His Place in the Sun, which is really great, lengthy documentary on the making of the film. There's a feature-length documentary on here called George Stevens, The Filmmakers Who Knew Him, which has got interviews with Warren Beatty, Frank Capra, and others who have worked with him and kind of reminisce on their workings with him. Beautiful film, beautiful edition, great special features. I plowed through them all. Really great stuff. Again, this is out of even all of the imprints so far, this is my favorite edition. And again, beautiful transfer, just tops the whole thing off. Number 9 is The Carpetbaggers. This is a film I don't think I'd even ever heard of before it entered the imprint range, but apparently it's an absolute classic, and it's strange that I hadn't ever heard about this one. It's got George Peppard, who you'd probably best know from Breakfast at Tiffany's. It's got Alan Ladd in there in one of his older roles. Bob Cummings and Carol Baker there as well. This is a fantastic film. Again, this is kind of in the style of those grand George Stevens epics. It's, of course, directed not by George Stevens, but by Edward Dmytryk, whose films I'm not all that familiar with. This goes for 2.5 hours, so it is an epic, but it's one of those great, long, epic, great classic Hollywood movies that just wraps around you like a warm blanket, and just the time just flies by. And it's just like a sprawling epic. This guy, he's the son of a very wealthy tycoon. The tycoon dies, he takes over the family, and he kind of makes moves to expand the family business, and he invests in motion pictures, he invests in buying all these different companies and stuff, and he just gets more and more mad with power, and all the women that he gets in relationships with and cheats on and all this crazy stuff. It's this really beautiful human story about corruption and power, and I think it's just really beautifully touching movie as well, and how this character has this fantastic arc, goes from here to here and then kind of back again. I just love movies like that, and I think this is probably a favorite classic movie as well now that I've seen this. I loved it. I really enjoyed my time with it. And George Peppard, I don't think I'd ever really seen him in anything other than Breakfast at Tiffany's, which is one of my favorite movies ever, but I thought he was just brilliant in this. I thought he was really fantastic. And again, this is a gorgeously presented set. I really love both artworks that have been chosen right there. And as with all the other ones, you've got art on the disc there, and another really beautiful publicity still from the film on the middle there. Again, I just love artwork. I love these. The imprint range is just... Whoever is putting these together over at Viavision is doing an absolutely stellar job. We've got one more title to take a look at here. It's Night Falls on Manhattan. This is number 10 in the range. This, again, is the latest film that's in the range that comes from 1996. I was a wee lad when this was released, probably about 5 years old. It stars Andy Garcia, Richard Dreyfuss, Lena Olin, and like a whole cast of just a really great ensemble cast. James Gandolfini and what's his name's in here as well? Ian Holm is in here, the late, great Ian Holm as well. Everyone delivers a great performance in this movie. I thought this was really good. This is something that wasn't really on my radar either, and that's what I really love about this range, is that I feel like I'm a huge fan of cinema. I've seen all the greats and stuff, but then this range comes along and delivers these hidden gems. That's really what this range is all about, delivering hidden gems that have just been hidden from home media for so long. And I owe a great debt to them, because they introduced me in the space of a couple of months to some really, really fantastic movies that I otherwise really haven't known about. Now, this comes from the master director, Sidney Lumet, whose films I really love. I haven't seen too many of them in the past, but of course, his magnum opus, 12 Angry Men, gorgeous movie. That's my favorite courtroom drama ever. Probably the greatest courtroom drama ever made. And this is in that same vein as that. It is a courtroom drama that focuses on corruption within the police force. Really beautifully layered film, and I would highly recommend picking this one up too, especially if you're not too into like the classic 50s, 60s movies, 40s movies, and you're more interested in the newer stuff. I mean, I guess this is still 20 years old, but yeah, really, really good movie right there. Again, great packaging on that. It's probably not the best out of the bunch, but it is still really nice packaging. We got the two different artworks right there, and then of course on the inside you've got the disc art, which is essentially just the cover of the film itself, as they all are, and then just a nice little image on the inside. Again, it's not the greatest packaging out of the whole lot, but I think it still looks really nice. The presentation on the film itself is really beautiful, very filmic. That is something that I need to say about all of these. These are all very filmic, very beautiful film grain in them. None of them have had like digital noise reduction applied to them or any of that kind of motion smoothing, waxy stuff, as was evident on the, again, that Sorry Wrong Number release last time. None of these are suffered by any of those issues. They look beautiful, and this one I think pulls up very nice for a 1990s film. It was obviously shot on film, looks beautiful. If I had any like minor issues, sometimes it does look a little maybe overexposed or something, but again, having not seen the movie, I think that's probably something that is inherent to the source of the film itself and not the transfer that has been used here. I should say the transfers are not handled by Viavision, they are handled by the studio. So in this case is like Paramount. Most of these movies, or all of them I think, are Paramount releases, so they would have been provided to them by the studio like this. This one does have a selection of bonus features on there as well, not a huge amount. It's got an audio commentary with Sidney Lumet. It's got an audio commentary by Andy Garcia and Ron Liebman, and producers Josh Kramer and Tom Mount. It also has a theatrical trailer on there and a photo gallery too. So not a huge amount of stuff, just a couple of probably really decent audio commentaries on there for you to sink your teeth into. But again, really beautiful movie. All of these movies are great. Again, I could not recommend any of these high enough. If I had to pick, I was going to say if I had to pick 3 of them, but I can't. I really loved all of them. Look, everything. There is something for everyone in this range, and I think they have really gone into each wave thinking about that, trying to offer something for everybody in each wave, and I'm so in love. I mean, this is probably, I would have to say, already one of my favorite boutique ranges ever. I mean, it's just impeccable. The beautiful packaging on these, how they all just line up so well. They're all numbered on the spines, great slip covers, great special features, and for like the very, very large majority of them, really great transfers. There's only 1 out of 10 so far that I actually had issues with, but most of them have been really great, and I love this range, and I'm so happy and so proud that an Australian company is doing an incredible range of films like this. And the best thing is, most of these, like 95% of them, have never been released on Blu-ray before. So all of the ones that are released here, this second wave in particular, never been released on Blu-ray ever before. I think A Place in the Sun does have a US release coming up though. But yeah, great range. I'm really looking forward to Wave 2. There's some really great titles in that I just can't wait to get my hands on. I really hope to get my hands on copies of those to review for you guys as well. So until then, thanks so much for joining me. Continue to stay safe, continue to take it easy, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. If this is your first time viewing one of my videos and you'd like to see more like it in the future, then please don't forget to hit that big old subscribe button up on your screen, as well as that like button down below for that little extra support. Also, don't forget to check me out on social media, and please consider supporting me over on Patreon. Thanks for watching, and have a fantastic day.